get my 6. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the most awesomest homesteading channel on the planet that typically doesn't have anything whatsoever to do with homesteading. Homesteading off the grid. What a beautiful view. So the last time I made a video, there wasn't a demo video. A couple of days ago, we had torrential downpours coming through. Heavy flooding. I got stuck out in the rain trying to make a video talking to y'all about some stuff. And it's such a beautiful day, I thought I'd just kind of walk and talk again and talk to you about something else that's very important. I can't believe I've never made this connection. These thoughts, some of these thoughts are original. They're my own, but they really were spurred on by a conversation I had with a wonderful woman in her early 70s probably, one day this week at the gym. So before I get to that, I'm going to make a statement, and I want you to, and by the way, I'm walking around through the trails. I've cut through our forest, which we've regrown. See the trail? And the forest behind me, it wasn't there 9 years ago when we bought the place. It was all a hayfield. So this is 9 years worth of growth that I'm now coming through and clearing out some. You can see I've got cleared in through there. Makes for excellent wildlife habitat, especially rabbits, because they like to nest down in the brush piles that get left behind from my brush clearing there. So anyway, think about how ridiculous this would sound. I'm going to make a financial statement, okay? If you were to hear me say, oh, money, huh, you know, I spend more than I make. If I make $100, I'm going to spend at least 200, and well, gosh, if I know the money's coming, I'll spend it before I even get it. I'll either figure out what I'm going to do with it when I get it, or I'll go out and get me a subprime rate credit card, and I'll just run the debt up on that, and then maybe I'll pay it when I get that money, and maybe I won't. Maybe I just won't pay that bill. And my credit score would be terrible, of course, but I don't care because they're never going to get that money back. And, well, I'll just find another lender at some point if I want to borrow some more money. And I don't care about how high the interest rate would be because, I'm probably not going to pay that back either. What? Save for retirement? Oh, of course not. I mean, heck, what if I don't live that long anyway? Oh, help my kid with his college tuition? Oh, come on. His education is going to benefit me or going to benefit him, not me. Why would I pay for that? You see where I'm going? Would you ever make statements like that, like to someone else? Firstly, most of y'all know better than to live that way. There are people out there that do live that way, but even if they are living that way, they probably don't admit it verbally. Actually, there's like a ton of people probably living that way. They try to act like they're living the way they're not. Here's another trail I cut down through here just because this is getting so reforested. I would have to walk all the way around the property to get to most places if I didn't have these trails. But we've got these wild Carolina roses down in here in bloom. Aren't they just absolutely beautiful? I'll tell you. Sometimes I'll come out here, take a break from work, and just walk. I'm saying I'm going to walk for 10 minutes. Next thing I know, it's been an hour because I'm just looking at this beauty. Like those roses, they weren't out the last time I was up here a couple days ago. All right, so anyway, it sounds ridiculous, right? The statements I just made about financial planning or lack thereof. Sounds ridiculous. You wouldn't make it, right? Well, that's how ridiculous you sound when you say, oh, you're a runner, or oh, you run? Oh, I don't run unless somebody's chasing me. Now, I wouldn't run unless the police or a bear was chasing me, or I only run to the refrigerator for another beer. Or, exercise in general. Hey, you go to the gym. The gym, yeah, right. Who's got time to do that? Who's got time to exercise? Well, you know who has time to exercise? The people who make time to exercise. It's like anything else. Time spent with your children, time spent with your spouse, making sure to still go out on dates regularly, even though you've been married for a long time. You know who has time to do that? People that make the time to do that. Yeah, it's called personal responsibility and prioritizing. It's called prioritizing. Now, to that you might say, well, yeah, Crazy Lake, I understand that, and well, it's easy to see why everybody calls you crazy. Because, I mean, come on, in all seriousness, I mean, we have to work. We have all these things that have to do. You mentioned kids, Crazy Lake. My kids are so involved with their activities. There's no way I could make exercise time for myself. All right. that sounds equally ridiculous, because what you're doing is you're making an excuse. Losers make excuses and winners make ways. Now, what's this have to do with the conversation with an older woman, very pleasant older woman I had this week? Well, everything. Listen, I had the opportunity to sit and talk with for a little while a 70-plus-year-old baby boomer who kind of confirmed to me through this conversation everything that I've been thinking for years, just in better wording, and it's things that most people call me crazy for. So she's somebody that I just see often. My son and I go to the gym about 4 days a week. We work out together. We do weight training together. We jog sometimes together. He hates running, but I encourage him to do it because cardio is important. And it helps. I mean, on football, he scored in his game yesterday, which we won again. We've advanced to the tournaments, going in as the 3rd seed. We have to win the first game, and if we win that game, we go to the finals and play for the championship. If we don't, we're done. He scored, he threw 2 touchdown passes and scored 2 running touchdowns, and 1 was the length of the field. So he's come around to understand the importance of cardio and running. So anyway, this woman, if you were to see her, and if you were to see her walk, you would notice, and I'm saying all this stuff respectfully, these are just facts. And I know most of you who watch this channel still are of the group of people that don't get offended by facts, because facts don't care about your feelings. She's overweight, and she kind of like hobbles with a limp. It looks like mobility is somewhat challenging for her. And I've seen the exercises she does in the gym, and they're basic mobility exercises, okay? And the gym I attend, they have a really good program there. They've got training programs for seniors. There's one class where they basically just use chairs, and the exercises involve stretching with the chair, getting up and down out of the chair. And so we were just small talking, and so I said something to the effect of, so are you like rehabbing an injury, or how long have you been working out? And she laughed and she said, no, I'm not rehabbing any injuries, and I've actually been working out for a year. I was like, oh, really? And she says, hey, I can't blame you. She says, listen, I'm actually rehabbing from life, if you will, or from being a workaholic to a degree. And she said, in the last year, believe it or not, I've lost 50 pounds. And I said, I absolutely believe it. That's great. And you keep at it, and over the course of the next year, you're probably going to lose another 50. And she says, well, that's my goal, because that would put me at my ideal weight. So she just starts talking, and she tells me her story. And her story with fitness, or lack thereof, and health was basically this. Like most baby boomers especially, and especially most responsible adults who are independent and who can take care of themselves, which seems to be a declining number with each passing generation. She worked for 40 years, same job. I'm not going to tell you what her job was. It doesn't matter what her job was. The majority of her awake hours, at least Monday through Friday, if she was awake, she was at work. Never, and these are her words, not mine. She said she never made the time to exercise. She would laugh at people that exercise. She was like confessing this stuff to me. She was like, I was that person who used to brag and laugh and joke and say I wasn't running unless somebody was chasing me. She had kids. She was busy with that. And she said more days than not, on her way home from work, because she was also divorced, never got remarried because she's smart. No, I won the lottery when I got remarried, big time, with Dearly, my beautiful bride, aka Giggly Girl. But not everybody wins the lottery. A lot of people just have bad taste in partners, and they marry the same person over and over. They were married to a deadbeat schmuck maybe the first time around, and they thought the problem was him, so they get out of that, and then they go marry another deadbeat schmuck. No, the problem's you, okay? So anyway, she chose not to go that route again. But she says she's paying the price of it now, for all the time she laughed about not exercising, for all the garbage food she ate instead of eating something healthy. And she said this, and it blew my mind. She said that one of the reasons she kept her job for so long because she didn't always like it. She enjoyed most of the people she worked with, and she said that, of course, made it worth staying there. But she said there were times she was fed up, times she wanted to leave. Yeah, there's a horsefly. Gotta love those guys. But she stayed on for the health insurance. And it never occurred to her once in 40 years of working that she was neglecting her health. Kept a job that at times she didn't like because she was so concerned about having health insurance. But she never, ever, during that 40-year period, took care of her health. Never exercised, didn't eat right. So she said she retired about 2 years ago. And she soon became bored, and she was thinking about getting a part-time job. But then she thought, well, maybe I'll get a hobby instead. So she decided she would start walking. This is down, I live out in the country, of course, but down the Charlottesville, Virginia area, very healthy community. You're always seeing people jogging and walking. So she decided she's going to start walking. And what a wake up it was to her when she found out that she couldn't walk for more than 10 minutes. She was breathing hard, she was out of breath, and this was on a flat street. And then afterwards, she had knee pain, she had lower back pain, and she thought something was wrong with her. And she went to her doctor, and the doctor gave her a once-over and pretty much told her, says, there's nothing wrong with you except for the fact that you're overweight, you're inactive, you're extremely out of shape. Then he started to suggest which medications she should add to her litany of existing medications. And she told him, and she said, Doc, I'm on enough pills. She said she was already up to a dozen. And she was like, what if I just start exercising? And she said her doctor actually laughed at her because he says, yeah, right. He goes, no, come on. There's some new, synthetic pharmaceutical crap that he wanted to push on her. She refused to take it, and she left that office that day, and she told herself that she was going to start exercising. So she did. And again, in the beginning, she couldn't walk for more than 10 minutes, but she stuck with it. She'd have to take a couple days off. She started doing some stretching. She was watching YouTube videos. And before long, within a month, she could walk for 30 minutes. A couple months into it, she could walk for 45 minutes to an hour, and that's when she finally joined the gym. And she's taken some of those classes. But basically, this is a story of how she neglected her body for 40 years, joked and laughed about neglecting her body for 40 years, would make fun of her coworkers or her friends or her family members who, did exercise, and always made the excuse, who's got time for that? And now she found at 70, if it hadn't been for what meds she was already on before that last doctor's visit, she probably wouldn't even be here by now. And she said it did not sit well with her at all to know that for all those decades, actually 2 generations worth of time, she was dependent upon synthetic pharmaceuticals to live a semblance of a normal life physically that anybody, literally anybody, who's willing to exercise 3 or 4 days a week for 30 minutes at a time could live without the medications. Here I'm going through all these little trails. You can see I've cleared this out too. Here's the main trail, heading back down to the house. So I said to her, I said, man, a couple things. Number one, you're not alone. I mean, look around you. You look around the gym, and it's full of overweight boomers who struggle with mobility. And I would be willing to bet it's largely for the same reason she's got her issues. They didn't work to live. They lived to work. Now listen to that. You've heard it said, you see it on memes and reels on Facebook, but there is truth to that. You know how much I work? No, I work every day. I never take days off. I work on my birthday. I work on Christmas. I was in the hospital a few years back with a gut twist. A lot of y'all have been around for a while, might remember that. While I was in that hospital, it occurred to me that was the first day that I had not worked in like 7 years. I'm serious. So, of course, I immediately broke out my phone and made a YouTube video from the hospital bed. Yeah, it's on here somewhere among these 2,700 videos. But, And now that no, things were different back in the day when Dearly and I were first together and Daniel was a little baby and we were starving in the Philippines and eating roots and coconut grubs and anything edible we could get our hands on because we didn't have any food or we didn't have any money. I worked 12 to 14 hours a day, but for the last 4 or 5 years I allow myself to work 2 hours a day. That's it. If I've noticed that I've spent more than 2 hours working, I stop. Because if I'm doing more than that, I'm neglecting other parts of my life that are more important to me than work. Now, yes, we enjoy the revenue. At this point, we don't even need it. We are literally months away from paying our house off because I just don't want any debt, even a mortgage. And I know I'm only 51. 10 years ago, we were down and out in the Philippines, could hardly rent a house. Our house was, it cost $75 a month in rent. And I always had to beg the wonderful 90-something-year-old landlady to let me be late. I mean, times have really changed. You know what? And they changed because of those 10 to 14 to 15 hours a day I worked for many, many years. But fortunately, by the time we got here, our son was just starting kindergarten. And I was able to back off the pay some, and now he's getting ready to go into high school, and I could literally never work again and be just fine financially. But I'm going to keep working at least 2 hours a day until we get the mortgage paid off, which won't be long. And that's the only thing we have left. So as far as any sort of debt goes, because it's more important to me to live. It's more important to me. Like this morning, I worked out. I did this high intensity interval training thing I do on my property. It's 1/4 mile sprints for me. I keep it at sub 6 minute mile pace. And after every 1/4 mile sprint, I'll do one of various exercises, either 25 push-ups or 25 4-count flutter kicks. The next interval, I'll do curls. I do shoulder presses, just all this stuff. It's a 30-minute workout. I end up running about 2.5 miles because there's like 8 circuits to it. 10 circuits. Yeah. So anyway, and then of course there's time with my son. There's time with my wife, who I regularly have dates with, despite the fact that we've been together 15 years. I often say that it feels like we just started dating. That's because it's true. But now, if I look at other folks I know, man, they work like all the time. And most of them, they have to go somewhere to work. Like they don't get to work from home like I do because of the type of work I do. They have to commute. Some of them spend an hour a day driving, 30 minutes into town, 30 minutes back. Man, what a waste of time that is. Think of that. That's 20 hours a month spent in a car driving. You're not getting paid for that. You're talking about nobody has time to exercise. Nobody has time to read. That's another one I hear. What would you do if you had that 20 hours back? Well, I can't get that 20 hours back. I have to work. I need the money because I got all these payments. I got my cars. I got my boat. Well, we got that RV. We got the vacation house. What if you didn't have all that stuff? Or what if you busted your butt and got it paid off and then stopped buying new stuff so you didn't have new payments? Then maybe you could only work a couple hours a day and then spend the rest of your time doing what's important, being with your family. If that's important to you, though. There's a lot of people that I think, frankly, can't stand their families. You see these married couples, if the man's home and the wife's out, when she comes home, 10 minutes later, he's gone because he doesn't want to be in the house with her. He'll come home, well, she takes off because she doesn't want to be in the house with him. Whatever. Hey, again, it's not the partner you pick that's the problem. It's you and the standards you place on your partners that's the problem. So anyway, it was a big wake up. Not really so much a wake up because I'm already living accordingly as far as health and fitness and all that stuff goes. But it was like an aha moment. And I told her, after I said, you're not the Lone Ranger here. Look around. This place is filled with aged people who are not in good fitness because they were workaholics. But then I told her, I said, secondly, you have just confirmed for me what I've always thought, what I've always believed, and talked to her a little bit about my lifestyle. And she said, you know what? She said, if I could go back and do it again, I'd be doing it the way you are, not the way I did. You think of so many folks, they give the best 30 to 40 years of their life to an employer. They're working to make someone else rich with the ultimate goal being, retirement. They're going to go travel the world, You know, they're going to be able to live off their pension or their 401k or Social Security even, which, you know, and that's based upon what you pay into it. So when I hear people complain about how little they get in Social Security, again, the problem's not Social Security, the problem's you. You didn't pay into it enough. I run the calculator for mine and I see what I'm going to be eligible to get once I'm 62 and a half, whatever it is. Number one, I don't need it. I don't need it anyway. Number two, it's kind of a big number. But then when I think about how much I've paid into it, because I've worked since I was 15 years old, and the last half a dozen years have been astronomically good years as far as revenue goes, it makes sense. So why would one person complain about Social Security payments being so low when another person, i.e. me, and others who are like me, get way more than they need? And you know what I mean? Well, again, the problem's not Social Security. The problem's the individual and the choices they made. So, guys, it's never too late to make different choices. That woman is in her 70s, and I bet you in a year she's going to be running local road races. And I can't wait to see it. I hope she is. If she can do it at her age, because I know there's a lot of you out there who watch these videos are that age, you can do it too. It all goes back to what I was saying when we were up there in the woods. It's not about having time, it's about making time. And you do that by prioritizing it and being personally responsible for your own health, for your own fitness, just as I would hope you're attempting to be with your own finances. Okay? So that's all I really had to say. Wanted to make sure to take you for another walk now that the torrential downpour has stopped. This is so beautiful out here. I just wanted to share it with y'all again. So hope you got something out of that, and I hope it won't be too long before I make another video, and I'll see you for more then. From here at the most awesomest homesteading channel on the planet, it really doesn't have anything to do with homesteading. Homesteading off the grid. See ya.